When you take a job, you're basically making a leap of faith. How has that leap been so far for you here?
Well, there is that moment once a day where you can just stop, get above the trees, and realize you're the head coach at the University of Louisville. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty cool. I mean, I say it all the time, man. The mystique, the storied tradition, championships, passionate fan base. Grew up right up the street. Watched the dynasty during the 80s. There is that moment once a day where you get goosebumps and the hair stands up on your arm. So it's still pretty cool.
Are you surprised how much you've been embraced by this fan base this quickly?
Well, I am undefeated right now, which is awesome. No, it's been awesome. You know, you just feel it. You feel the energy in the fan base. You feel the passion that people have for Louisville basketball. That's what, Luke Hancock came to the gym 2 days ago, and we were talking, and one thing he asked me is, what's the best thing? Give me one thing. And I did tell him about those moments where I go, gosh darn, Louisville, I mean, this is where, but the other thing that blows me away is just when you go out into town, you're pumping gas or you're at a restaurant, you're anywhere, and you get the high fives. Coach, man, we're so excited, so glad that you're here. And then, as you know, this is not only one of the most passionate fan bases in the country, but it's also one of the most knowledgeable. And I have about 1 million assistant coaches out there, so you'll also get a little bit of a couple suggestions on how to defend the pick and roll and maybe our set play packages and things like that. But no, it's been awesome, and I appreciate it so much. Not only embracing me, but embracing our family coming into this community as well.
I think as of now on the roster, I believe you have 13 new faces. That's has to be unique, but it also has to be fun building something from the ground up. Have you enjoyed that process?
Yeah, starting from 0 2 months ago is kind of a Herculean task, as I like to say, and I got to give a ton of credit to my assistants. My staff is elite. I say all the time, I wouldn't trade them for anybody. The Boston Celtics, I don't care. And they know what makes me tick. They know the type of player that fits me and our system and what we do, both on the court and off the court. And what do they say sometimes in terms of time? They say the days go fast, but the days go slow, but the years go fast. That's kind of how I feel sometimes out of these last 70 days. There's some times where it's like, my goodness, these 24-hour segments, there's not enough time in the day to eat or to sleep. So it seems like at times it goes really slow, but then you look back on it, it's like, bam, 70 days, roster set, players here, let's start getting after it. So it's just kind of the next thing in the next chapter, and we're full steam ahead on that.
Do you feel like your roster is set?
Yeah, I mean, we love the makeup. I love, first of all, the fact that we have a veteran, mature team, right? We have guys that come from programs with winning DNAs. We have guys that have logged a ton of minutes at the collegiate level and not just played minutes at a high level of college basketball, but had a lot of success and have won. And, I think in this day and age of college basketball, they say getting old, staying old is very, very important. But just the makeup of these guys, their basketball IQ, their basketball intellect, their experience, I think is going to be one of the major advantages and the hallmark of this team.
Recruiting in this day and age, transfer portal, NIL, we call it NIL, but it's something completely different now. Do you like this recruiting in basketball and college athletics right now?
You better, or it's time to find a new line of work. I call it the advantage of new choice, man. In every single industry, and I've said this many times, but there are major shifts that happen in industries, and people that resist, companies that resist, organizations that resist, the adaptability and the change. You're going to get run over. You're going to get run out of business. So the advantage of no choice is you got to be willing to be adaptable, right, and adjust and run toward it. And we have an unbelievable administration here. Josh Hurd is one of the most forward-thinking, creative ADs, I think, in the country that has embraced this new era and has run toward it, and has put us in a position to, has positioned us to take advantage of it and be a major, major player at a high level of college basketball for a long time. And then obviously it starts at the top with Dr. Schatzel. She is a dynamic leader. I've been around higher education for a long, long time, and I've never met a school president like her, obviously with her business background. And I remember hearing her talk recently, and she talked about that in her business, right? She in the auto industry, in the auto parts industry, and some of the major shifts and changes and how they were able to move quickly and be adaptable and embrace, the new era of those businesses. And it's the same thing now with higher education and high-level Division I sports. And man, is she fiery, and is she dynamic, is she an unbelievable leader, and I'm really, really lucky to work for both of them.
In recruiting anymore, is it about relationships anymore, or is it about the money, or is it kind of a mix of both, to be quite honest?
Well, I think everything's about relationships, right? Everything in the world, one of the most powerful things is relationships. Obviously, that the industry has changed, and there is an aspect of our sport at the collegiate level that, is more toward a professional model. But, relationships are key to everything. I think one of the major advantages, or the secret sauce, if you will, that teams and programs and organizations at the collegiate basketball space that they're going to have to embrace is being able to put those pieces together, right? And in a locker room that, has players making different amounts of money, being able to create a collective unit and to galvanize a group, and we call it the power of the unit, right? And getting a group of guys that will sacrifice for the good of the team and the good of the guy next to you is really, really important. I think that's something we do really well, and it's a heck of a challenge, but we're up for it.
Nowadays in the summer, your kids can work out together. They can, you can have practices with them in the summer. You have a lot of time before the season begins. Is that plenty of time to be able to mold so many new, fresh faces and so many different games?
Yeah, no, I think these summer months are huge, very, very important. Not only to implement our on-floor culture, our on-floor system, right, to talk about the schematics of our offense and defense and implementing our system, conveying the way we communicate, what our terminology is like, all those type of things are really, really important. But it's even more important what happens once those guys step off the floor, and the type of things that we do here in this building, over in Denny Crum Hall. The way we're able to come together and build a bond is very, very important. And there's no question these 8 weeks that we have with our guys are very, very important.
What kind of things do you do off the court with them?
Well, there's a lot of things. We call it the power of the unit, right? And it's the uncommon commitment to the guy next to you. It's built on the most powerful force in the universe, and that's love. I'm asking Kobe Rogers to turn to his right and see Chucky Hepburn, who he just met 48 hours ago, and love that guy, right? To love that guy, that is powerful. Now, we go out on the floor, try to tear each other's faces off. We are a compete program, right? But that bond and that connectivity off the floor is really important. Just one of 1,000 examples yesterday at our team. The first time our team was together, we have guys get up and present what we call our shield, okay? And the way the shield goes, the kind of folklore is hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there was warriors that went to battle and they had their shield, and on their shield, they had the story of their life. There were 10 different sections of that shield. And when they made the ultimate sacrifice in the field of battle, when they found their shield, they know what warrior lost his life. But we have our guys get up, and we have a big screen of PowerPoint. Javon Hadley presented his shield, and that's his history, that's his strengths, that's his weaknesses, that's his biggest heartbreak, that's his hope. What are the 3 things that you can bring to the team every day that we can count on with everything we got? And Javon was phenomenal. We've been doing this for years and years, and it was the greatest shield presentation I've ever seen, and it gets emotional, right? He's a passionate young man, and really set the tone for the rest of the guys, because I think before you can truly love your teammate, you got to know him, You got to know what they do best. You got to know their ups. You got to know their downs. You got to know their weaknesses. You got to know their vulnerabilities. You got to know their strengths. And that's one of the many team building things that we do that I think is pretty special.
How much did Skip Prosser shape who you are as a coach right now? Obviously, when you grow up, you're taking things from so many different people and you're just kind of filtering it to become your own. But how much did that relationship shape who you are as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, Skip used to say all the time, and I've said this before in other interviews, but he quotes Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said a coach and a teacher, he believes, can be kind of summed up what their role is by this Emerson quote that says, our chief want in life is someone who can make us do what we can. Our chief want in life is someone who can make us do what we can. And Skip was the ultimate example of that. He was just a phenomenal teacher, right? And push guys to be the best that they could be. And played for him, coached under him, and he was an unbelievable mentor to me. Obviously, he was an unbelievably successful basketball coach, but I think one of the things that made him so special was just the way he treated people, and the way he went about his business, and the way he loved others and poured into other coaches in the athletic department, the way that the students at Xavier and at Wake Forest, both the students thought that they had a personal relationship with Skip. There's no way for him to know all 10,000 students, but when he was on campus, they felt like Skip was our guy. And those type of things that I learned from him, right? He used to say all the time to students or to fans or to former players, it's not my program, it's yours, right? He used to say with the students in particular, it's like he wanted the students to take ownership of the program. He wouldn't say, hey, come to the games to be entertained, come to the games to be a factor. This is your team, you know? And those are a couple examples of thousands of things that Skip taught me. You can't be on time, be early. You can't be soft and play for Louisville, right? Playing time's not like Halloween. Just because you're dressed up doesn't mean you're gonna get any candy, you know? I could go on, but he was a special dude and beloved in the coaching fraternity. Somebody said when he died, he probably is one of the more successful coaches in the history of the game to not have an enemy. That's hard to do, because this is as cutthroat of a business as theirs thinking is, but he just had this way about him that everybody liked him, and but he was special.
Enemies, rivalries.
Yeah.
Obviously, Louisville, rival, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Mark Pope. What do you know about Mark Pope, and how have you kind of embraced that rivalry?
Well, I just know he's a phenomenal coach, right? He's had a ton of success at BYU, and I have the utmost respect for him, you know. It's been mentioned to me a couple times that it's pretty big rivalry. They say that kind of matters around here a little bit. I got to write that down real quick. Rivalries are what makes college sports great. It's one of the things that's great about collegiate sports. I mean, I grew up in Cincinnati, and Xavier and Cincinnati were huge rivals, and obviously Louisville, Kentucky is like that on steroids, you know. But Skip used to say all the time, like, you know, when he was at Xavier early on, he was just taking over the program and building it, and I think Cincinnati had won several in a row, and he kind of said, man, unless you win one every once in a while, it kind of stops being a rivalry, so that's the deal. Skyline,
what's the order?
Do you really want to know?
First off, you know where you know where I'm from.
You might think less of me, and Cincinnati people might less of me, and you might think I'm like weird and picky as crap. But I try to eat well, but I cannot resist Skyline, and it just makes me feel a little better when I get 2 cheese conies with onions and mustard, and I try to remove some of the cheese and take off a little of the bread because I'm trying to limit carbs. But then I still crush it. Skyline's like, I can't resist.
That's it.